What's up, folks? This is Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. I'm in a pretty good mood today. Got my pirate shirt on, got my pirate hat on.
You are not a pirate.
Got a good opportunity for a potential employment prospect.
He's a righteous dude.
So I'm going to do a special midweek video to also celebrate passing 1,800 subs this week.
Good going.
So today I'm going to do a solo play through Pirate Borg using Solitary Defilement and Solitary Depths. I am still going to do a video this weekend on Solo RPG 101, so look forward to that as well. But for right now, let's jump into Pirate Borg. First off, I want to introduce you to the tools I'm going to be using. Of course, I will be using Pirate Borg. I'm going to be using Solitary Defilement and also Ferritory, as that is a required tool for Solitary Defilement. I am going to be using some ships that were part of the Pirates of the Spanish Main game that you can pick up for very cheap. I got 6 ships for 20 bucks off of eBay this week.
My vessel is magnificent and fierce and huge-ish and gone.
And then I am also going to occasionally be referring to Lodestar for some names and some random content generation. But really, all you would need to have would be Pirate Borg, Solitary Defilement, and Ferritory.
Hey, what more can a guy ask for?
So, in the background, I do have the regular Borg screen, and that has some good information to draw from as well, but not necessary. Just in case you did not see the character creation process on my prior Pirate Borg character creation video, that's okay, because we're going to start from scratch. We're going to roll up a new character for this anyways. So step 1 is going to be gear. I'm going to roll for my container. I got a 5, so that is a large sea chest that will hold 20 items. And I'm going to roll for my cheap gear, which is a D12. I got a 12. I get a pet. That's interesting. And I roll a D10. I've got a pet dog. Interesting. That could be cool. Okay, for my fancy gear, I roll a D12, and I got a 1. Got a compass. So then we're going to go on to step 2, which is going to be rolling ability scores. And hopefully we get better than we did last time. Well, 10, so that is a better start for strength at least. Last time we rolled very poorly. And we got a 13, so that's a +1 for agility. These can change whenever you pick your character class, which we're going to do randomly as well. Presence, and I got a 10, which is a 0 for the modifier. Toughness, I got a 12, which is a 0 for the modifier. And spirit, I got a 9, which is a 0 for the modifier. So zeros across the board except for agility, which is a +1. I'm going to call that a win. So for the class, you can either roll a D6 for the standard classes, or you can roll a D8 if you want to include the 2 optional classes. I'm going to roll a D8. And I got a 4, which is going to be a swashbuckler, which I believe is what I got last go around. So I'm going to write swashbuckler in here. And then I'm going to go through the swashbuckler tables. So that's going to add a +1 to strength, bringing it to a total of +1. It's going to add a +1 to agility, which brings that to a +2. This is getting to be a much better experience than what I was expecting from the previous character. Then I get a -1 presence and spirit. So that's a -1 overall now. And spirit is a -1 overall. So probably not going to be casting any spells, but pretty good with a a pistol or with a saber. So I get to roll a d10 for hit points, and I got a 10.
I gave it a 10! A 10!
Hey, we like this already. And Devil's Luck die is a D2, so we'll just roll this and divide it by 2. I got a 2 there, so I got 2. Devil's Luck, good. Get a D10 for a weapon, and I got a 2, which is a knife. I think that's what I got last time as well. A D10 for clothing, and I got a 9, which is a chain shirt. Again, what I got last time. And a D12 for a hat. An 8 for my hat. I got a bicorn, which is one of the famous pirate type hats. I also need to roll for a fighting style for my class. And I got a 2, which is a flintlock fanatic. So I'm guessing I'm going to get a flintlock pistol out of this deal somehow. And I'm going to roll on my background table. 72. A philosopher with 2d6 times 10 silver. And that's 50 silver I get. And what else do I get for being a philosopher? A book and a puzzling disposition. All right, now we've got my distinctive flaw. And I got a 3. Which is going to be mocking sardonic cheer. And my physical trademark is going to be a 6, missing an ear. And I have an idiosyncrasy to roll for, and I got a 17. You secretly enjoy the taste of human flesh, so I'm a cannibal. And my unfortunate incidents and condition. You died once already, but hell didn't want you.
What the hell?
Okay, on that last one, I'm going to take that as meaning that I need to roll on the Haunted Souls table.
What, this gets worse? Come on.
Because whenever you create a Haunted Soul character, you get to choose another class too. So I'm going to say, I'm going to roll on this. I got a 2. So I am a conduit. And I get a random ritual each dawn. That could be dangerous since I have bad presence and spirit. And then I need to roll on my D100 for an important thing. Let's go ahead and roll. And I got a 47. I have a jar of dried jellyfish dust. I'm going to roll for a name. We're going to roll on the 3rd table. And a D12, if I can keep it on the book. 6. Okay, and no, I don't want to play a lady this time. We're going to be Jose. All right, so I've got Jose. Jose, who is a philosopher, has a mocking sardonic cheer, is missing an ear, and secretly enjoys the taste of human flesh.
Even you couldn't say no to that.
Has died once, but hell didn't want him, and he has a jar of dried jellyfish dust.
Which is, of course, ridiculous.
He is a conduit swashbuckler. So with the conduit, every morning I will roll a random ritual, which he can cast without testing spirit. So it's like an automatic thing. But if he fails to do so, the spirits haunt him and he takes a D2 damage. He is a flintlock fighter as part of his swashbuckling trait, and that allows him to shoot with up to 3 flintlock pistols in a single round of combat. He's got a +1 to any strength rolls. That would be like melee combat and physical acts of strength. He's got a +2 to agility, so he's going to be very accurate with a weapon. And then he's got a -1 presence, a 0 for toughness, and a -1 for spirit. He also has a pet dog, which I think we should probably roll a name for. And you know what? We're going to go ahead and grab Lodestar to do that. And I'm going to roll a Varu name. So a 19 would be Tana. Tana the dog. So there's our dog's name. Jose and Tana. Now I am going to try to kind of establish some facts about my campaign to help kind of drive the story along whenever I don't know what's going to happen. And for that, I've created this little sheet, just kind of a worksheet of who, what, where, when, why, and how for your campaign. I call this my solo story setup table because this is going to be good for any solo RPG. If you do want to get a copy of this for yourself, shoot me an email over to booksbricksandboards@gmail.com and I'll send this over to you. So for the who's the NPC upon which the protagonist and the story will focus? Some tips for that. These can be allies or enemies. The NPC focus can change, and you don't need to know everything about them. So for the who, I'm going to start off with this table from Scarlet Heroes. I know I didn't talk about that in the beginning, but I think this is a really neat table to establish a relationship. And this is page 116 of Scarlet Heroes. So I'm going to roll a D100, and I got an 81. So that is going to be Society Fellows. So in the terms of this game being a pirate game, a Society Fellow, I think, would probably be maybe somebody that works for the crown.
Apologies, Your Majesty.
So we are going to roll a random name. First table on a 1 is Ed. So we're going to do Edward. And for Edward's last name, I'm going to try to come up with something from the Chaos Portents table from Solitary Depths. I'm going to roll on the first one. So 26. Edward Die. D-I-E. So we are going to say it's going to be Edward Coffin. And Edward Coffin is going to be an admiral in the British Navy. And he's going to be an enemy. And then I'm not going to add anything else to this. That's just going to be a cue that I can use later. So then what? What is the long-term goal of the protagonist? That would be me, Jose. So I think that Jose wants to acquire a ship and make enough money to buy his sister's freedom. Freedom from what? We don't know yet. Just going to use this as a cue. I've got this backwards, but when in the global storyline is your adventure taking place? Think about the impact of the global events in your local story. Consider how this might tie in with the goals of the protagonist and allow for global events to influence the NPCs in your world, rather. So in particular, this with the Borg games is very easy because you can just roll on the miseries table to kind of establish what's going on in the world. And so we're going to do that now. Here's the history of the Dark Caribbean. So we got a 5 and a 1. So chapter 5, 1. Derelict ships litter the sea. Salvage prospectors get rich and reset the status quo. Okay, so you can already see where this is starting to tie together. So Jose is wanting to get a ship to make enough money to buy his sister's freedom. There are salvagers getting rich right now from all of the derelict ships that they are looting. And I think Edward Coffin, the admiral in the British Navy, is maybe dispatched to try to pull in some of this looting and salvaging that's going on. So where is the protagonist at, and where do they need to go in the short term? Have a destination with a purpose. Think about the opportunities between point A and point B, and allow for an off-ramp if the story demands it. So we know we're going to be in the Dark Caribbean because we want to use the goodies that are in the Pirate Borg book. But we need to start somewhere. And since there is already this great sandbox of Coral Bay, we're going to do that as our starting point. And we are going to be looking to make it to Tortuga, and that's kind of a piratey town. So if we can get to Tortuga, that means we've kind of made it. We've established our own ship and our own crew, and we are well on our way to buying back our sister's freedom. Why? Why is the protagonist compelled to action? Relate this to the character's backstory. Think about how the NPC focus might have a related backstory. Consider leaving lots of blank spaces to discover during play. So I think I have to act because my sister has been arranged to marry Edward Coffin. And this is probably to benefit the family's financial status. And so by me being able to become financially independent, I can relieve her of that duty. So that's going to be the impetus. I've got to get this done before they get married. So how? How did the protagonist arrive to the situation which now compels them to act? Now, this is an immediate thing here. This isn't like, why are they doing this? This is, how did I end up in this mess that I'm going to be starting in so that there is action to start? I did put some notes here. Don't write a novel. Just establish some basic beats that create the moment of conflict. And consider using action theme elements, that would be like these chaos portents here, to establish the scene. And think about whether the protagonist is in control or out of control. Well, with Pirate Borg, they have this great table at the beginning, which is the carousing table. And it is establishing what happened while you were carousing. So we'll say last night, I played cards with some wenches, because that's all good stories start. And I woke up in a mansion, and I am now the captain.
I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now. Jack and shit. And Jack left town.
Ooh, well, that's cool, and that kind of changes the story a little bit, because I'm already a captain, presumably of a ship, or maybe I'm a captain of a crew, but their ship has been lost in a game of cards as well. So I woke up after playing some cards with some wenches in a mansion as the captain. So I have a crew, but I don't have a ship, because we established that I'm trying to get a ship. But this could be good fortune here, because I am at least one step closer to hitting my goal, as I have a crew that doesn't have a captain. I'm going to say that that captain of the crew before me was probably cheating at this card game that I played, and perhaps another one of the players killed him. And so I have earned their trust, but now I need to get a ship. So we're starting off in the town of Coral Bay in the Dark Caribbean. And here are just some random suggestions for whenever you are running your own solo games. Roll for reactions. Don't assume that all enemies, or all NPCs rather, are enemies, and don't assume even that all enemies want to fight. Don't use the same consequence twice in a row. When you're rolling for consequences, whenever you have a weak hit or a miss, don't continue to do the same thing. Always remember that consequences can be narrative. They don't always have to be mechanical. Sean Tompkin really stressed that in his podcast, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Remember to focus on fun results. This is a game after all. You're not supposed to be torturing yourself. Then use the unreliable narrator option. So we established our story setup table, but maybe I don't know as much as I think I do, and maybe some of this stuff is not accurate.
You don't know what you're talking about, do you?
So if a better opportunity presents itself along the lines during the story, let's go that route instead.
If you don't want to play that way, don't play that way.
So knowing what we do about Jose's backstory and his situation, I think that he woke up outside of a mansion, specifically outside of the Skeleton Point where the Baron is haunting. I think that he had too exciting a night playing cards, and he wakes up outside of this mansion with his new crew that he is now captain of, and he is woken up by his dog Tana licking his face. And because he knows that this has been a rare spot of good luck for himself, he is going to use this as an opportunity to try to further his goals of finding a ship and establishing himself as a pirate. So he's going to make his way down to the local tavern and try to look for an opportunity for employment. He is going to roll on the jobs and quests table. And I got a 6 for the hook. Establish a new safe house base or hideout. And patron of key NPC. Important looking pirates. And requirement 1, stay out of combat. Well, that works against me a little bit. Time restraint, immediate. And complication 5. The reward is suspiciously big. I think with that result, what we find is that there's somebody at the tavern that is aware that Captain Davies down on Carcass Beach is needing some new crew. Perhaps he lost some of his sailors in a battle with some of the local authorities. And so the suspiciously large reward would be that he is going to grant me use of one of his sloops, but he needs me to get there quickly and without causing any additional attention, hence the no combat request. So I think that that is what's going to happen. I am going to make my way over to Carcass Beach and to approach Captain Davies about this opportunity. And looking at the map, the way to Carcass Beach kind of runs through the corner of a piece of jungle. So we're going to roll on the jungle points of interest to see how our path takes us. And it is going to be through swamp, water lilies, and mangrove trees. And it's going to have ruins from an ancient civilization as we walk through. And 500 plus butterflies or fireflies. And for an encounter, there are zombies skulking around.
Here there be monsters.
So what I'm going to try to do to avoid combat and to get to Captain Davies quickly is I am going to attempt to do a general adventuring maneuver using my agility to sneak past the zombies. Now the problem is there's an additional +2 penalty on my agility test because I'm wearing that jingling chain shirt. So I need a 14 or better, but I have a +2, so I actually only need a 12 or better. So let's look here. So both of them failed, and one was a natural 1.
What is your glitch?
So that has to create some additional complications. So let's roll on the Chaos Portents table to see what our additional complications would be for the fact that we greatly failed to avoid the attention of the zombies. 53, Scream, and 54, Omen. Oh, okay. So I think that what happened was, as I was trying to sneak past the zombies, I let out an inadvertent scream as I saw the face of the previous captain of my new crew that is now a zombie. And so I am faced with his attention and will be battling it out with the good captain. We're going to make the captain a bilge rat zombie because while he was a captain in life, he is just starting out his career as a zombie. So we're going to start him at the lowest level, and that also might give us a little bit better opportunity to survive. So we're going to roll a t6 for initiative. Got a 5, so I'm going to get to go first. And I am going to try to stab this zombie. And so I've got a 10 plus a 1 is an 11, which fails. And then the zombie is going to attempt to bite me back. Actually, first it'll try to claw me. And so my roll to avoid its claws was a 4, so I failed that. So I need to roll a d4 plus 1 for its damage. So it does 3 damage. But then I have a d4 of chainmail to block damage. So I take 2 damage. And so then the zombie has its claws in me, so I think that next time it will get a chance to bite me. But then for the next round, I am going to re-roll initiative, and he's going to go first. So he's going to try to bite me. He's got a hold of me. I got to try to dodge that. My dodge skill is going to require me to roll a... the DR is actually a 14 because of my chain shirt. But then I have a +2 agility, so it goes down to a 12 I need to roll. And I got it. So I'm able to pull away from the zombie as it's desperately trying to chomp at me, and maybe it's even got its teeth upon my chain shirt, but not through. And so then I'm going to turn back and try to stab it with my knife. And I fail again. Sad days. So this is just going back and forth, and it doesn't appear to be working in my favor, but we're going to roll initiative again. And again, the enemies are going to go first. He's going to try to claw me again, and I'm going to try to dodge that. And I got a 19. I do dodge it. And this time I'm kind of learning his patterns and getting better at fighting this odd necromantic creation. And I'm going to take a wild swing with my dagger and attempt to remove his head from his body. And I miss wildly. So his odd movements make it very tough to predict where the zombie is going to be at for a particular strike. And another round, we're going to roll initiative again. And again, the zombie is going to go first. And it will again attempt to claw and grab a hold of me. And I fail to dodge it, actually. So yours rolling from a player side on this. So you're not rolling for them to attack, you're rolling to defend against their attack. So it does 3 more damage, but my chain shirt blocks 1 of it. So I take 2 more damage, means I've taken 4 damage. And while I'm in close, I'm going to try to puncture it with my dagger while it grabs and holds me. And I fail again. So we're going to go into another round. And I get to go first. It's still got a hold of me, so I'm still in close. I can use my dagger. And I hit with my +2 to hit for my strength. And my dagger does a d4 damage. And I do 2 to the zombie. And it is going to try to bite me. And I fail to dodge it. So it is going to do 3 damage, but I got my chainmail, which takes it down to 2. And I have a test to avoid zombie infection. I need to roll a DR8 toughness test. And I made it, so I'm not infected. That's good. And now I get a chance to attack back, and I fail. An initiative. Again, the zombie will be going first, and it's still got a hold of me, going to try to continue to bite and eat at me. And I fail to dodge it again, and the zombie does 3 damage, but my armor blocks 2 of it, so I take 1. I've already made the zombie infection test, so I'm not going to do that again. I am going to try to hit it with my dagger again, and I did. I got an 18. So I do 2 damage to the zombie, taking it to 4 damage taken. Meanwhile, it's provided me with 7 points of damage out of my 10. And now we're going to go to the next round. And I get to go first. So I've gotten a good couple slashes at it. I'm starting to judge its distance, and I've pushed it off of me. I'm slashing wildly at it. So I'm going to try to finish it off. And I fail again. So then the zombie is going to come back at me with the claws. And I fail to dodge the claws. It does 4 damage, and my armor blocks all 4 of it. So at least for that time, I was able to prevent any damage using my chain shirt as a block between me and the undead. Then we are going to roll initiative again, and again the zombie is going to go first, trying to claw me. And I fail to dodge it, and it does. I rolled a 1, so it does 2 damage, and my armor blocks the 2 damage. I'm going to try to stab it again, and with my +2 for my strength, I hit, and I do 1 damage, bringing it to 5, and I finally finish off the good captain.
Prepare to meet Kali.
So much the worse for the wear. I look over the captain's body and see that he is no longer twitching, and I see the many butterflies kind of flock down to the corpse of the zombie, and I wonder if maybe they have something to do with this necromantic sorcery. And I make my way across the jungle over to Captain Davies' lair on Carcass Beach, and I present myself as the answer he's looking for to captain his sloop, and we'll get a reaction roll from Captain Davies. And I got a 9. He's almost friendly.
It would strain credulity at that.
So he thinks, well, you know, you've made your way across the treacherous jungle, and you clearly have survived a brush with death to get here. Perhaps Davy Jones isn't ready for you yet. So almost friendly, though, is not quite friendly.
That's a fact.
So I think I still have to prove myself to the captain. And I think that's what we're going to look for next, is a job to prove myself worthy to be the leader of his secondary ship, the Canary. And we will leave off until next time. All right, so that was the end of my first session of solo play of Pirate Borg. We saw how Jose's story has gone so far. We know that he's looking to establish himself as a young pirate, and he has an opportunity to with Captain Davies on the Carcass Beach, potentially already looking to gain his own ship to captain. We know that he's established a crew already, and he's defeated their old captain in combat. So what happens next time? We don't know. We'll roll on some tables and find out. And that may be next week. It may be 2 weeks from now. It may be a month from now. But that's one of the beautiful things about solo RPG play, is that you can pick it up and play for 30 minutes, an hour, and then put it away and then jump back to it when you have the time. So hopefully you enjoyed the playthrough. If you did, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'd love to hear your comments on where you think Jose should go with this, and what you have done with the Pirate Borg system. And so this has been Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. Thank you for getting the channel to 1,800 subs, and hopefully we'll be to 2,000 before the end of the year and onward from there. So, good gaming, and God bless.
Game over.